cats, felines,
Fuzzballs
even. These are just a couple of the many terms we call one of humanity's persisting obsessions. From the time of the pharaohs to cat videos flooding the internet today, people have always loved cats. I mean, who can blame them? These fuzzy, cute, and expressive little creatures just melt your heart with their adorable hijinks. As of late, we've also had cats invading the gaming world, with breakout hits like Stray, and smaller titles like Little Kitty, Big City have been doing pretty well for themselves. If you're a gamer and a cat lover, you've been eating pretty good recently. And while both those games are pretty solid, I feel like they're missing something. I just don't know what, I can't put my finger on it. How can we make these cats even cooler? Maybe put a cool hoodie on them. No, not enough. Goggles? No. Maybe a hoverboard with homicidal tendencies. Well, that's what one Swedish dev team thought while putting together today's topic, the neon-soaked, violent escapades of Gori Cuddly Carnage is a 2024 hack-and-slash platformer by Swedish game developer Angry Demon Studio. The game releasing on the usual suspects, the Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, PC, the Switch, and most importantly, the Amazon Luna.
I could have it right in my pocket or on a fire stick ready to go.
Angry Demon is a small dev team of about 5 people. The studio has a couple of horror games under its belt, Unforgiving, A Northern Hymn in 2017, and Apsulov, End of Gods in 2019. Both look like decent first-person horror titles in the vein of something like Amnesia. Both the games look pretty interesting, even if it is a bit of an overdone style of horror game. Gori seems like such a departure from the studio's comfort zone. This is a complete genre shift. We're moving from slowly plodding through spooky corridors hiding from monsters, to zooming around levels at high speeds, chopping monsters to bits. Not to say Gori doesn't have some horror-adjacent vibes though. And not just coming from the assumed gore in the title, but also these cute and terrifying monster designs throughout the game. And as you might have seen by now, this neon-soaked Adult Swim-ass cartoon world is absolutely stunning. From the bisexually colored streets to the neon green sewers, every environment is visually striking. I will admit there are some aspects that, if you were to take them out of the context of the whole game, look kinda goofy. Some of these models look kind of weird in a vacuum, but it all fits together in this crazy over-the-top world. It really just works. The whole game feels like a 2000s kids notebook doodles. Goldfish and mechs, cats with spinning knives, a teddy bear with its face peeled off. It's just so cool, man. And just like any decent platformer, every level is themed. You start in a cyberpunk city, then go to a giant arcade where you can jump into the different machines and have different challenges to get out. And even make it to an underwater museum. I guess you're making Gori a
P-word.
And even having some bespoke mechanics in these levels around underwater air management and other puzzle-solving mechanics throughout. Each level has 3 pieces of a key scattered about. If you collect all 3, it opens up a new room in the spaceship, adding a bestiary, a fun little aquarium, even a music listening room. I really liked this environmental design having graffiti everywhere, even if it kinda spills the beans in the narrative, with the whole "accept her gift" painted on every wall. But since I brought up the narrative, what's Gori really all about? Well, meet the titular Gori. He's a toy, modeled after a cat, by the company Cool Toys. Cool Toys is a company trying to make the most extreme toys, because kids are too busy playing Fortnite or Honey Pop to play with toys anymore, so they need to be the most extreme things on Earth. Gori's accompanied by Frank, a hoverboard with retractable blades, and the ultra-intelligent AI Chip, which are all rejected toys from Cool Toys. Gori got rejected for not being cuddly enough. Frank, well...
You can't spell slaughter without laughter!
And Chip being too depressed to do anything with his near-infinite intellect. All 3 were prototypes meant to be destroyed, once rejected, but saved by their creator, Professor Y. The good professor is just keeping them in her apartment. I don't know what her plan was long-term? Keeping sentient, violent toys in her house? You do you, boo. Now fast forward a bit, the world has fallen to shit, all of humanity has been killed by the adorable army, which are toys gone mad, killing all who oppose them. Gori and the gang find a message from the professor, saying to build a big space laser and save her. Now you're off to make your family whole once again, skating through 8 themed levels, slicing and dicing any monster in your path. A lot of this background on the story gets drip-fed to you throughout the game, with these comic book style cutscenes at the start of every level. That helps flesh out the background of Gori and Professor Y's relationship. While you're not getting Shakespeare, it does help show you a glimpse of what the world looked like before it all went to shit, as well as the relationship between a girl and her cat. No, it's nothing super deep, like when Elle Fanning gets her dogs out in Death Stranding. But what's there does help contextualize the relationship between Gori and the professor. I'm not going to do a full story breakdown in this video, because I don't really feel like there's much to really dig into with the narrative. It's really just a framing device to give you this cool world to play in. It very much takes a backseat to the gameplay. Gori plays like if PlayStation 2 Kratos picked up a skateboard, but also needed to make it to his doctor's appointment in 20 minutes, at speeds that would make Sonic blush. Gori is a mix of hack and slash arenas and speedy platforming. As I've mentioned before, Gori is accompanied by Frank, the homicidal hoverboard, with blades that launch out at each end, but don't worry, Frank comes installed with a profanity filter.
Holy sh**, Gori, this ship is huge! What the was that?
So I guess he's still child-friendly? No wonder he got rejected from Cool Toys. Frank's best abilities run on fuel, and you can find fuel in breakable containers throughout the levels, but the most reliable way to get fuel is to grind. No, not that kind. You can grind off billboards and rainbow color rails, and you also get fuel by killing enemies
and bathing in their blood.
Sorry, I got a little carried away. Now you can use Frank's boost by pulling the right trigger to zoom through this neon hellscape. Oh yeah, there's also these chase segments where you're running from a monster or a flood of lava or goo. If you're too slow, you'd get hit, take damage, start over. These segments are fun, but I'm usually falling off the platform starting over instead of getting hit by the lava wave. But let's circle back to the enemies I brought up earlier. Most of the enemies you'll be fighting are these cute little unicorns. Oh no. You'll be zooming through the level like Sonichu, and eventually get locked into one of the game's many combat arenas. You'll get flooded by enemies on all sides, and you'll need to fight your way out. The game gives you a pretty fun bag of tools to kill these cute cuddly unicorns. You press X to slash with the retractable blades, you press Y to use the bash to crack open enemy bubble shields, and as the game goes on, you acquire a grenade launcher to give Gori a ranged attack. If you want to boost your damage, use the boost while you're attacking, and now you start cooking with gasoline. Your normal slashes turn into a blade vortex, and your bash becomes a ground pound, leaving your enemies floating like bucking bronco, leaving them open for an easy kill, and then when you beef up the grenades, it gives it actual impact now. And I almost forgot the shield, which is meant for blocking ranged attacks, but also works as a battering ram, doing some pretty decent damage, and even breaking through bubble shields. Oh yeah, there's a dodge too. If you dodge right at the right moment before you get hit, you get a perfect dodge, which slows down time for a little while. But with how the fights escalate and how fast you're zooming around the arena, grinding, flipping, slashing, and running away, you're really not sitting around long enough to consider dodging. I'd compare Gori's dodge to Devil May Cry's dodge, where it's there, it is effective, but it is more effective to jump. Speaking of Devil May Cry, Gori loves to grade you on the amount of carnage you put out with a combo meter, very similar to Devil May Cry's, starting with D and going up to triple P. And you keep up your combo by killing monsters fast and not getting hit. At first, the arenas are pretty basic, starting with the standard slicey and shooty corns. Yes, that is their Christian names. But as they start adding enemies throughout the game, these arenas become more and more interesting. Like when facing a group of popcorns, you use bash so they don't explode in your face, or to target a seacorn as soon as it spawns because of its ability to shield other enemies as well as slow down time, not to mention the tank enemies, who can put out and take a lot of damage, which some even have some fun weak spots, making them more of a piñata full of health, money, and fuel, being a godsend in some of these fights. I found Gori's enemy variety and the encounters past the first level or so to be extremely fun. Honestly, with all the monsters, I couldn't find a flop in there. Maybe the popcorns, the suicide bomber type enemies are always kind of annoying, but the ability to throw them around the arena makes them an easier pill to swallow than usual. As you slice, dice, and grind through these levels, you pick up cash and can spend it at these cool toys kiosks to upgrade Gori and Frank's abilities, as well as get a bunch of cosmetics. You get a sizable payout at the end of every level, depending on your performance, how fast you beat the level, how many combo points you got, as well as the difficulty. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the type of guy to go back over a level that I already beat and try to improve my times. For me, usually to finish a level is good enough, but after I finished recording, I went back, cranked up the difficulty, and tried to improve my times. There are challenge missions you unlock, usually after completing a level. Some are speeding through these chase segments with some added difficulty, or fighting in an arena, trying to get an ultra high combo, or to kill everything in an arena without getting hit. Your reward for beating one of these levels is another sack of cash, and most importantly, a unicorn, untouched by the infection that afflicts his brothers. And to get the secret ending, you need to collect all 14 unicorns, which half of these challenge missions are locked behind the final boss. Just a friendly heads up. Speaking of bosses, every level ends in a boss fight, and I feel like they might be hit or miss for some players, because I felt pretty conflicted on them through a decent chunk of my playthrough. But they did grow on me, and I can definitely see what the devs were doing with them. I'd say the bosses feel more like puzzle bosses, or like a traditional platforming boss, where you're waiting for a boss to run into a hazard, do a special attack string that leaves an obvious weak point open. Not to say that I think that that's bad at all, it just felt like the game was putting the brakes on the combat. A lot of the arenas being more of a chaos ballet, focusing on high priority targets, as well as cleaning up the little mobs to keep your combo up, just to make it to the boss room and wait around for it to do its combo string and you hit its weak point. It's just jarring for the change of pace going from a high-speed platforming, Serious Sam-esque kill box rooms to a puzzle-solving platformer boss. But once I disengaged the monkey brain from the fights to actually do some basic problem solving, these bosses became really fun, and I can appreciate the spectacle they were going for, as well as some of the fun stuff they were doing with the mechanics. A lot of these levels kind of play out like Alice Madness Returns back on the Xbox 360. The way that you go through platforming challenges just to get locked into an arena to fight for your life, rinse and repeat. And the Alice influence isn't just in the level design, but good god, that doll level feels like it was ripped straight out of Madness Returns. And I'm not complaining, I'm happy to see any Alice Madness Returns reference in the current year. I know I've been unapologetically glowing about Gori so far, but I do have one complaint. I wish there was more to this game, like a Bloody Palace type mode, or a couple more levels. The game isn't necessarily short, it comes out to about 8 to 9 hours, maybe cut a little bit of time because I was taking notes, but honestly this is the perfect length for a game like this. So I guess the game just left me wanting more, which is great, but now I've got an itch that I'm not sure anything else can quite scratch. On the bright side, to spoil the super secret ending just a wee bit, the game ends with the adventure continues elsewhere, very much leaving the possibility for sequels or expansions in the future. I really hope that Gori did well enough for the developers to expand on this world. I just want more. More platforming, more combat, more costumes. I just need more, man. Which is probably the best thing I can say about a game. I highly recommend this game to anyone who finds this even slightly interesting. And while Gori took clear inspiration from games like Alice and Devil May Cry, it really steps out on its own and feels like something special, and I hope this game gets a really strong cult following and some follow-ups, because I just need some more Gori in my life. Thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you want to see more of my content, why don't you hit like, subscribe, maybe even that bell icon so you don't miss anything in the future. And I hope you stick around because I've got some fun ideas I've been cooking up. Once again, thank you for watching all the way to the end, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.